Welcome to the Aegance Offscript Podcast, where we talk to industry leaders who share their stories, insights, and lessons unfiltered and unscripted. I'm your host, Lawrence, and today I'm thrilled to welcome Rachel Meuleman, the founder of BizzAngels. Now, Rachel has built a company that's all about turning the high-cost, high-hype world of trade shows and networking events into real, actionable lead generation for B2B brands. Her teams show up. They engage decision makers in real time, they capture data, and they help their clients turn those event moments into real sales opportunities. Rachel, thanks so much for joining us. Let's dive in.
Great. Thanks so much for inviting me to be here. It's great to be here, Lauren.
Yeah, super excited to have you on. Would you mind providing a little bit more context beyond how I've just positioned BizzAngels? I'm sure there's no one better than yourself to give us that context.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways I can go in here, but we'll start with the easiest one is like there are millions of companies spending a fortune going to trade shows. And unfortunately, many of them are leaving without any sales opportunities. And I was basically in this space spending a fortune and seeing this problem that was quite prevalent for quite some time. And I basically found a solution. I've been basically in the region for 18 years, and it's really about scaling what I've been doing for the last almost 3 decades. No marketing team, how do you get leads for B2B? And face-to-face is by far the most important space. And I say that because in the Middle East, it's all relationship building. But at the end of the day, people want to work with people that they like and that they trust. And we are judging others in the first 7 seconds of that introduction. And so the best opportunity, I mean, if time is money, like the trade shows are where all the C-level decision makers are playing. So why wouldn't you go to a trade show for a couple of days and really leverage that time accordingly and strategically? And so that's what we're essentially doing for businesses.
Yeah, makes complete sense. So would you say that it's more of a challenge gap that was the reason for starting the company, or is there a sort of broader vision at play as well?
Yeah, I think from my standpoint, being here so long, I keep on getting people go, hey, will you work for my business? Will you work for my business? Can you help me with my business? And lead generation has always been a problem. I'm a people person. I love people and I love finding people. And so B2B is really easy. I mean, clearly we have LinkedIn as a platform where we can validate who people are by job title and industry. That makes it really, really easy for transparency. But now we have these massive events, and in Dubai alone, the World Trade Center is running 350 events a year. That's in one location. So if you focus on the Gulf and the amount of traction, we have 1,000 people a month are moving to, actually, I think it's 1,000 people a day are moving to the Dubai. That's what the statistics say right now. And since COVID, we saw everybody got the opportunity to go home and work alone, and it didn't work for B2B. So now these shows and trade shows and events are overflowing. I mean, GITEX, that was recently as an IT, one of the biggest IT events in the world, 275,000 people came to attend this event. And they're coming from all over the region. And so when it comes to scalable and operational costs, people are spending time, money, resources to take their current staff and send them to other regions and leave them stuck at a stand, just waiting for a lead to fall into their lap. And I've done it. And it's, I've gotten the t-shirt. It's not the most effective way. So, in any marketing play or strategy, there's two ways of marketing. There's the outbound and there's inbound, right? And usually just like telemarketing or phone customer service, there's outbound and inbound. So why wouldn't there be an outbound, if there's already an inbound, and which would be someone standing on a stand, collecting leads, scanning a badge? Where's the outbound strategy? And so I'm bringing the outbound into the field, and nobody's really doing it, but I'm bringing it with a certification because I understand sales. I've been training salespeople for quite some time. My journey starts in the world of promotions and really evolves into where I've built numerous businesses with sales and having the marketing expertise to bring with me along the way. So with those two experiences and expertise, I'm able to build what the certification is for the BizzAngels. And that's about simplifying sales so that certifiable, ROI driven people can represent brands and know their brand, and have the education to be successful while, and really converting these sales opportunities to marketing leads or sales leads. And there's a
Yeah.
segment there, right? And so we differentiate that as well.
As you've shifted from that founder operator to a bit more of a strategic leader, what's been the hardest thing for you to let go of?
Control. Control. I think, let's be honest with it. I've had some partners in the past say, "Oh yeah, Rachel, you like to control things." I think I controlled my wedding organization as well. I like the details are important, and I've learned a long time ago. You want something done yourself, right? You got to do it yourself sometimes, and so understanding that. That's been hard to let go, but you need people to grow. That's the reality. So I can't do this on my own. And that's really why I'm now in a position where I'm starting to talk to investors. I'm looking for capital. I'm looking to scale. I've been running this for the last 7 years on my own. And now I need more people to make this scalable, because you're capped, right, about what you can actually do yourself. So that's a big part of it. But I've systematically created the operations now for people to follow. And I think so it makes it easier to release and surrender and to say, okay, someone else will come and do the job. I've set the footprint, the foundation for them to follow. And that's been really rewarding at the same time.
How do you decide where to focus your own energy when there's always more to do? You mentioned 350 plus expo events in Dubai alone. There's clients you need to deal with. There's an internal culture that you need to keep running. How do you navigate that?
I think the North Star is revenue, right? North Star is always revenue, and lead generation is so important. So I always make sure that that's at this forefront. The second is just attitude. And when it comes to leadership, like, I want people that work with me to not only align with my vision and my mission, but how I'm trying to impact the planet. So it's really important. Like, things that I prioritize are emotional intelligence. So even working with people, if they don't understand it, they won't align with exactly what our vision is. And so making sure, like, all these mission statements and really the purpose and what we're doing, staying really, really strong, should not deviate from those, and bringing the people to help build the organization. But, being the best leader I can, it's a very proactive, conscious choice to do that. And I've seen leaders lose it, but I want to inspire people. I want people to grow. My purpose is to help elevate the whole industry, from where it is to even the people within the organization on down, and being able to show the roadmap of how to do that has always been really something important to me. So I think once you have that blueprint of which way to go, just really kind of always referring. So I start my day off with, like, really strong clarity, meditation, and visions of what I want to achieve, what are on my priority list, and just being very attuned and accountable for living my life in that way, and probably part of the control issues as well, but it helps where we go. I always say, like, if where are you gonna go if you have no direction? Like, you need a direction. So I just make sure that I have that direction every day I wake up in the morning.
Makes complete sense. So if I understand correctly, BizzAngels is essentially turning human conversations into qualified leads for their clients. I mean, how do you translate those real world interactions into data, follow up, and revenue for your clients?
Perfect. So that's exactly what we do. We're on-demand outsourced lead generators, right? In some cases, you call them a business development, and in some cases, you'll call them a promotional staff member hostess that stands on a stand. The reality is, we go through a journey of understanding a business. We make it very simple for our BizzAngels, and they basically get trained on that business exclusively. That means they know who the target demographic is, and if they're different job titles, how the conversation should vary based on that job title, because the job title is what we'll be able to get. Also, we understand what's the pain that the business is solving. How do they validate credibility and trust? So who are the customers that they're already servicing? And what do customers get when they work with them? So it's really easy to see, like, if you work with me, you're going to get this, right? It's like that journey is very clear. And then from that standpoint, we just give the questions to open up conversation. So this becomes a very easy way of building relationships. If I'm going to ask you an open-ended questions, for example, versus a question that answers like starts with how or why or when, as opposed to a question that would be a yes or no question, I'm going to get a lot more out of that. So part of our certification is understanding how to communicate in the most effective way to uncover what people desire and what they need, right? And so that's a big part of it. Once we open those conversations and very simply are able to communicate that confidently, and confidence is a big deal here because the lack of it in the market, unfortunately. And then all we do is kind of use that as bait. We say, great, if I can give you these results, if my client can give you these results, like, let's introduce you. And so a lot of times businesses will have other people out on this trade show floor. They'll be stuck at a stand, like I mentioned. And so there's a matchmaking opportunity right then and there. So for example, I had a client from Romania. They needed someone to focus on, C-level executives that were in the enterprise industry and telecoms for government. And then basically they were stuck on a stand. The BizzAngel went out, met over 30, 40 people in one day. They're trained to go in and out of conversations quickly so they don't waste time. They actually have to find 5 marketing leads an hour in order to get the certification. So it's very rigorous. And it's showing them the tools they need to get out of conversations that are just not utilizing their time effectively. Then from that standpoint, she would finally lock in the right job title, the right client, and basically that identify that they would be ideally the ones that would want the results that the client offers and do the introduction right then and there. She was able to convert 10 qualified enterprise leads in one day, and 6 of them converting to sales meetings after the event, because people are not there to be sold to, but they may have pains and they may be the right people. And clearly, these events are bringing in the decision makers of these industries that are there speaking on panels or just talking to their customers at the show. And that's the opportunity that I really like to exploit because I know it's sitting there waiting to be leveraged. And so that's the strategy. And so after that point, we'll have a database. We'll use our, IT CRM to make sure that we're getting business cards. We're looking at the information that any marketing person values: name, company, job title, mobile number. In this region, it's all about WhatsApp. It's not the landline because that's just a wasted energy to even call that. And then emails, right? So we're getting really accurate data. It's the most updated information without scraping it, without buying a database. And then from that standpoint, we then audit this information once we're collecting it from the angel. She'll give us a segmentation of if they're just a marketing lead or a sales lead. And if there's a sales lead, there'll be an expected date of a meeting that's been suggested. So we'll give the date of the meeting. If there's more conversation, there'll be notes in that conversation, data. And then after 48 hours of auditing and cross-referencing like LinkedIn for accuracy of the job titles and so forth, we'll basically give it to the client to upload into their CRM and start the automation process. Because we all know if you're in marketing, 80% of leads are not ready to buy. That's the statistic. So it's a really high number, which means just getting that lead is a first start, and now converting them is the next. And so from there, I've had clients that say, great, I got my automation. I know exactly how to nurture this. I'm ready to go. And I have other clients that say, I don't have anything. What can you help me with then? Because the last thing I want to do is give a whole bunch of fabulous leads and have a company do nothing with it, right? And I'm sure you've probably experienced that too. Clients that just, are swimming in leads, but haven't acted on them. So we basically came up with the Connection Concierge, and that's a 12-point touch point, a system after the trade show, because again, the statistics are staggering. There's like 79% of people don't following up with leads from trade shows. I mean, that's incredible. And I just say it in the most heartbreaking way. Like if you have a business and you've just spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for this opportunity and then nobody even followed up, I mean, what are we doing? There's clearly a problem. There's an entire problem in the entire ecosystem of how this functional, revenue generating opportunity is. So we basically will do a 12-point calling, WhatsApping and emailing. And I'm telling you, nobody responds to email. We're overwhelmed. We are just completely overwhelmed with the amount of email out being sent. Hardly anybody will respond to WhatsApp unless you met them. So there's even the distrust coming from that, but it is a very prevalent way of communication. And then telephone, we're getting a 40 to 60% pickup rate, which is honestly, it's a lot higher than I would have expected, but it is for enterprise. 40 to 60% of people are actually picking up the phone. And what's interesting is because the BizzAngels go out with a certain uniform, so they look like angels. They're very angelic. They're wearing white, and so when we pick up the phone, all the scripting of all these touch points are done by us. And the angel says, you've been touched by an angel. We met, and the conversion to a sales meeting, where an inside sales team would be around 2 to 4%, an actual angel touching you at a trade show is converting at 10 to 15% for sales meeting. It is unbelievable the results I'm getting. And I've been doing this for like I said, for decades, but with the strategy of enabling other people to do it, and they're getting incredible results. So those are the two services that we're able to help and support businesses to get those sales. Now, if I set a sales meeting with your team and your sales guy doesn't look credible, can't communicate his value and can't convert, we got another problem. But I don't touch that problem. I just touch the top of the funnel.
Got you. I mean, fascinating, and certainly a number of services that you provide that, I mean, surely companies see the value in that. And I think your trajectory to date is testament to that. You can get the lead to a certain point, and as you say, don't touch the sort of after sales approach. Don't want to sort of muddy the waters too much. But I'm quite interested to get your thoughts on, where do businesses get it wrong at these trade shows? Why are they struggling to convert? I mean, is it the data capture? Is it CRM handoff? Is it the timing of the follow-up? Like, where do you think they are hitting a wall?
I think most cases, the people that are going to these shows are losing a lot of operations time. From my standpoint, if you have people working on sales, they should be closing. They should be negotiating and closing so they can pay salaries for the business. But what's happening is we're just losing valuable operations time at these shows, traveling to these locations. And basically, I'm walking, I do a lot of trade shows. I walk into shows, and some of my biggest mistakes that I find horrifying from just, are people, do they look like they're approachable? Do they have a smile? Are they catching eye contact? From a body language perspective is missing. And we don't learn these skills, and they're so important. I mean, it's shocking that they're not teaching them in school, because it affects every relationship we have. Just the fact that I could pass a stand and nobody even looked at me as I walked by, how do you know if I'm a decision maker or not? You're just completely missed that opportunity. Another one that I can't stand is when I see a box that says drop your business card here. And I'm like, wait a second, like, what are we doing? What's happening? Like, there's no way anyone can tell me they have a decision maker that basically is a business owner that will be a potential client that is in that box. There's no way, right? And so just some of these really bizarre way of like trying to get leads, but are they the right leads, And so I talk to a lot of people. I ask them, what's your elevator pitch? What are you selling? And I'm continue to be shocked at the fact that people are really suffering from how they present themselves, how they present their business. And this idea that I can just tell you about my business without asking you any questions to see if you even care is shocking. So a lot of time is being wasted. I've had many people just talk to me. I said, what's your goal? Do you have a goal in mind? Like, how many people do you want to meet? How many leads are you looking to, get in this event? And it's kind of like it's an afterthought. It's not very proactive. It's really kind of misdirected. I get people that are not experts in what they're doing. I see the people hiring promotional girls standing in the front. They have no idea about the business. They don't know who's on the floor. They don't know who to introduce them to. Like, there's a disconnect of value-driven preparation. And I think you need to be prepared. And I think the amount of businesses that are not prepared, are missing opportunities, is staggering, and really one of the biggest pain points that I see all the time. I mean, I see it in food and beverage businesses regularly when you're looking for a waiter and he's never to be found, right? Where he could be upselling and making more money for the business. That's just like one little hint of it. And so when I pick it up at trade shows, it's usually because no one's gotten eye contact. I would be directing my team. 30 seconds when a person walks should be the minimum amount of time until you catch their eye. That eye connection is huge. You connect their eye, smile. Immediately, a smile is contagious. Like using some of these like really basic features of humanity to connect with another person, and then to talk to them, really, and to really understand, who they are, what they're here for, and using some emotional intelligence in doing that. And it's just getting harder and harder because we're turning towards this AI, let's save our problems and let's connect. And the AI is pulling us further and further away from human connections. And just the other day, I read about a university in the UK that is now offering classes of how to use the telephone because Gen Z is so uncomfortable and has so much anxiety around it. So we're seeing this introduction to technology and this loss of humanity. And I hate to say it, I mean, we need humans to do these big business to business deals, and that will never be replaced. So there's a couple problems here. I wish humanity was striving to help the world, communicate better, but I guess I'll be the only one that does it in the meantime.
That is so funny that there's a course being offered to learn how to speak on the telephone. Absolutely love
Crazy,
that. So,
right?
yeah, very crazy. So, as these events that you attend are becoming more sort of hybrid and more digitized, how are you adapting your systems so that your clients can still see clear ROIs?
Cool. So great example. So a lot of people I talk to is about, okay, there's a trade show coming. Let's utilize the technology because I really do think tech is amazing. I'm so blessed to be alive. Like it's incredible to watch what's happening during right now. There's just a lot of unknown. So I say, all right, let's leverage the tech to optimize our time. Like why not? Now the reality is I went to a trade show. They had a great app, but then all of a sudden there was no Wi-Fi. So people that didn't have data couldn't be on the app, couldn't connect. I'm like, what? Like perfect example. This just happened, right? Another situation. Everyone's on the app so you can connect, but no one's really replying to anybody. You're sending messages, you're trying to connect. Hey, but what it is, it's basically they're communicating. I'm going to sell you my product. I want to sell you my product. Let's connect. That doesn't work for anybody. I mean, we sniff right through this. So the technology place is not define or effective enough to get the real results. And you're seeing a lot of suppliers going into these trade shows that are walking up to stands. I see it all the time, and just handing over their business card and say, hey, to a promotional girl, and I'd love to do business here. And it's not working that way, And so I do think from an edge, and I always say, like, I lean back on education, like, who do we need to meet? Let's stop wasting time with the wrong people and utilizing this in an effective way. And so when you say, like, well, how can we use the tech aspect for technology? Absolutely. I can go into the website. I can see all the sponsors. I can see the companies. I could go backwards and see who the people are that at the company that I want to meet. I could walk in educated and say, I'd like to meet Mohammed from the marketing department. I can come in a little bit more empowered of who I'm looking for, rather than is a general manager here. It's a totally different approach. And so just from our approach or standpoint, I've seen it. Like I said, my journey started when I spent $80,000 for a big event with a whole bunch of the key people in the room that sat in a conference space listening to the keynote all day, while all my competitors were in a foyer waiting for the right customer to walk past my stand. And my salesperson didn't bring one lead back that day. And it was gut wrenching. And I didn't even run the business. I mean, I didn't own the business. It wasn't out of my pocket, but it was out of my budget. And I just felt this if it's happening to me, it's happening to everybody. And
Mm,
so the amount of frustration of marketing professionals today is skyrocket, whether it be from spending on Google or Meta. They're not getting the conversions. I see the massive disconnect with salespeople pissed and angry. Where's my leads from my marketing team? The marketing team's going, I gave you the leads, you never called them, you didn't follow up. And so there's this competitive blaming game happening within organizations, and I've just been trying to bridge that gap with, here's a
mm,
great lead. Let's just make maximize the opportunity, and forget the rest of it. Forget the rest of it, because I think businesses are now looking at it, and this is increasing over time, but they're looking at the ROI where they never did before. You know, working in IT, I was the head of a big IT brand across the region, and I couldn't spend a marketing dollar without projecting its pipeline and its sales closure. Those were two KPIs I had to look at constantly, and I had to present that to business like QBRs every quarter about every dollar I spent, and it was an amazing opportunity to get the meticulousness of budgets that were being scaled from a channel partner ecosystem, where businesses were contributing to marketing across different global country boundaries or different regions. They still needed to have some kind of projections, and that's what they are,
mm.
completely like projections, right? But the goal was that there's a percent of the business that goes into marketing, and that marketing should be allocated and converting a source of business. And we all know, if you're not hitting your targets as a salesperson, you lose your job, right? So this is your livelihood is dependent on it,
Yeah.
right? And unfortunately, businesses really vary based on who's supporting the actual salespeople in general, and it's unfortunate because it's gotten a bad rap. The salespeople, it's a game of rejection all day, every day, and we don't learn these again. No one's learning sales. I mean, we should be teaching this in school, because it affects, whether it be finding a partner, or selling internally to our organization, people in different departments and so forth. These are just basic skills of connecting and providing value based on what people actually desire and the
Mm.
results they're looking to achieve. But yeah, we're missing it. We're missing it.
So if we turn our attention to your client acquisition strategy, I mean, you're clearly offering a set of services that are in need. How would you say that you are acquiring clients? Are there any channels in particular that have yielded some really positive net gains for you?
So I have been in PR. I've been in promotions, I've been in marketing, and I've been in sales. And I think those four, just the experience of those four different roles has given me a good hybrid of knowledge to utilize. And so, I started a business back in 2010. I spent $0 on marketing. I only did it through PR. I wrote my own press. I got into the media. The media picked it up. Next thing I know, I got 15,000 expats on a platform with zero marketing funds. From the BizzAngels, they're branded. They go into events. I just spoke to someone this morning. He goes, I've seen the BizzAngels. I'm like, yeah, you're going to recognize them just like you would an Emirates, crew, a cabin crew, because they're branded. They're aligned to my brand. So I use some of these tools for guerrilla marketing, in a sense, so that people can see this brand association and have an emotional connection to it. I've been building. I just launched a book. It's called The Art of Trade Show Success in Dubai. I speak about this publicly. A lot of times I'll walk into a trade show and people just recognize me just because of my content that I share in the business space. I would say I'm probably a big B2B influencer when it comes to lead generation. And I'm very well connected, being in the region for 18 years, having a business, sold a business, worked in a number of different industries. I've worked in F&B, I've worked in real estate, I've worked in construction, I've worked in a couple different areas where I was able to just recognize that sales is all the same. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. You're solving a problem, so the foundation's all the same. And so my network is my net worth, as they say, right? And so my network on my website right now and my business is about 23,000 people that I communicate to every month, where I talk about the skills and the tips and the tools and all what's happening in the industry, from where the opportunities are. I mean, I mentioned the Dubai Trade Center, but we still have Abu Dhabi, Ednoc, we got Riyadh, where they're multiplying all these different trade shows. And at the end of the day, we have a ton of other events happening within industries that happen at hotels, hotels all day, every day. And so there's so many different events happening. It's a big problem to have, because usually one event's happening in town and then there's three others that are happening at the same time minimum. And so I'll have to reject certain, events because I've never been there before. I know the big ones that do have the conversion, but if I haven't been there, you're just kind of paying someone who's educated to represent your brand and understand the opportunity that may be there. But in the course of promoting my own business, I think, it's about that continuous content, that continuous value, and the tips and the tricks and the knowledge that we can share. And I think, it's interesting when you hit over 40, I feel like universally everyone in your 40s, we're finally at this part where we can say we know what we're doing. We've spent enough years on this earth. We've been spending a lot of time, and we've done that 15,000 hours as we're now an expert in what we're doing. And so I've hit that. I'm proud of my age. I'm proud of my expertise. And now I want other people to learn and grow. And that's where the BizzAngels come from. I want to take them under my wing. I want to show them what I learned and show them how to do it and not waste time and learn from someone else's mistakes. I've already gone through the journey. And so, and once we start scaling, and now with social media, I got angels that earn across TikTok, across events, there's so many strategic collaborations, which I think is by far the best form of growth, because it just, you as a marketing expert, it's like the top of the funnel is very expensive, but the minute you go in through a strategic partner that has another demographic of people that have bought into their community, whether it be from a loyalty perspective, a trust perspective. I mean, trust and credibility is the biggest game that you're up against in that journey of a new relationship. And so the minute you align with somebody else who has it with the same target demographic that you're appealing to, you're going to have a much easier time. Half the time is going to be spent just converting them into the sales cycle. And so building those relationships, so I have relationships with businesses that are giving licenses to businesses that are coming into the region, businesses that are looking at startups that are looking to explore investor opportunities in the region, where I'm sitting on panels and I'm talking to them about coming into the region. From that alone, I'm able to convert people that say, oh, I need a BizzAngel, because I know the life of an entrepreneur. It's a long list of things I got to do, and there's never enough time. So why not outsource the sales top of the funnel? It needs time to qualify, so you don't waste your time and you can do other things that really impact the bottom line of your business. And so, those collaborations is my key to success.
I'd imagine, from what I've heard, scaling a people-driven business, it's not an easy endeavor. As you grow BizzAngels, what's been the toughest part about trying to maintain your culture and your performance at the same time?
Well, I'm looking forward to automating, at least having a platform to do it, because right now we're doing just manual processes that should all, in due time, once investment comes, we'll be able to monetize this on an automation platform and just really optimize it, because then it will be not the human error or management of that, I think that's really what it is. It's like the difference between having people do it, relying on, okay, is there a sick day, is there not, and like, does something get lost, or is there a delay, versus, actually having some kind of technology to replace them in a way, right? But I do think, from my perspective right now, it's that shift, right? Because I feel like the business is now outgrowing me where I am today, and it needs to get to the next level in order to keep this, to keep expanding, right? We're in the space of expansion right now. Clearly there's a need. Clearly I have plenty of case studies and plenty of different industries. And so now the snowball has started to roll, And so the growing pains are rough because I'm like, I gotta get someone in here to help me. But I just try to keep a great attitude through the journey because I know the right people will come. The right people will come in due time. And I think that is looking at it a more spiritual way. But I'm a spiritual being, and yeah, I have a great attitude. I've seen incredible miracles exist, and I have something really special that nobody else is doing. So it's yeah, just making sure that everyone that stays connected to me aligns with this vision, right? And I go back to exactly what is the key to the people in my ecosystem, the people I work with, even the clients I work with and for. You know, I'm a strong believer in intuition and being able to identify what's the right action versus maybe a time waster, you know. And this business is not for everybody. I'm not here to save the world. I'm just here to play in the space of business to business enterprise space that just sees the opportunity.
And can you give us a little bit of insight into how you train and motivate your angels so that they truly represent each client's brands appropriately?
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. This is something I'm really, really proud of. Um, You know, I'll never forget. I'm going to just start from where I came up with the concept because I started in F&B. I started, and I am very grateful and have so much like gratitude to my journey. Didn't know that when I was going to be a waitress in New York City, that all of a sudden that would convert to me training professionals in the B2B world. And I'll tell you why. It was purely because I couldn't go on the restaurant floor without understanding every single ingredient in the menu that I actually serve. So if someone asked a question, I had the competence to answer the question, and I could answer it in the best way because you couldn't get someone sick or allergic to something, forget it, you know? So there was that simplicity of understanding information, being able to reiterate and answer questions around that information, building confidence around that solution, and then being able to just duplicate it. And I think any business should basically have the same thing. Any onboarding of any new client or any new sales professional or any new even employee should basically have an onboarding process. This is our business, this is what we do, blah, 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 blah. These are all the processes internally. And as they learn this and be more comfortable in utilizing it, will give them more confidence. So I take that and I've created my entire methodology, which is called Elevate. And really it's about understanding understanding the customer. And so the onboarding of the training, and I do a training every single month. I'm really now trying to digitalize this to make it available for more people in different cities. But what it's been doing, it's a face-to-face time where I take people that are interested in building these soft skills, and I bring them into a room where we go through the very first competency. And this is the key competency of going through the journey emotionally and understanding it. I'm really, really identifying and zooming into emotional intelligence in a way where we're learning and growing from how we experience the world around us. So I first take you in, and the girls and boys will basically have 2 minutes to do a first impression with everyone in the room. From that first impression, you'll be asked to basically then provide information about the other person you just met. Will be shared with them at the end of the first day training. And there's 2 days training. That training then just provides them with body language skills. So we go through everything, why, how, what, to basically represent the brands as standards and why. And then we go into the qualification and how to qualify companies and how to qualify people and what they need based on their desires and what they need based on their job titles. And then they go into another competency where they are asked to go find certain people in the room, and everyone is given a different role play. So they'll play a persona, and then someone else has to find that persona, and they'll move around the room until they find that right person that they're meant to find. And I'm watching and I'm analyzing and I'm grading them based on these skills put into action at the training. And then at the end of my training, they have a test because they should. Did they retain the information? and how well do they do? And there's a threshold of 65%. I kind of, I guess I lean on education sector for that. It's a passing mark that they can actually get invited to the second training. But we go through that in about 3-hour timeline to see, to test, to train, and really get an engaging environment to understand where they're coming from. I understand kind of their values, what they're looking for. And I could, at the first training, I know exactly if they're motivated by money, which most everybody is, if they're interested in the skills they're learning, or they're just here temporarily, or am I going to see them ever again? So I can tell. But based on that test score, I had the other day a great girl. She was great in the engagement, but then she took the test and she failed miserably. So that means she didn't retain any of this information. So I do think there's a level of just like intelligence that I require because you're representing my brand. And that's part of the expectation from the client. So I want to make sure that I can give them exactly what they expect. Then from the second day, once they come back for the second training, we're going into a real live environment, a trade show environment where they're given, the intellectual property that I stride myself on, which is what we call the hunt document. That hunt document is simplifying the solution for the client that we represent. And they have time to learn everything they need about the client. And then they go out into the market to find the client's customers. And that's where they go through with me first. They see how I engage, what I question, and then I basically engage with them to make sure they understood some key metrics, key communication, and really okay, I was seeing this stand. What did you pick up? Who was on the floor? What was their job title? What are their objectives? Really understanding the ecosystem of a marketing conversation. And really, I'm giving them information about how marketing works, what leads are, what sales leads, and what the differentiation is between a marketing lead versus a sales lead, what people do as marketers when they're investing in a trade show, what their thought process is, what their expectations are. So they're going through all of this in the sale and in the training. And then I basically leave them to their own, and I give them a timer for an hour, and they go through the data acquisition part of the competency. And that's where they're utilizing tech to screen business cards, to ask questions, and we're communicating via WhatsApp so that we can answer any questions that they may have. And they come back with the cards. Once they come back with the cards, I go through every single one of the cards and go through it. I reject or accept cards, and that's always part of the auditing. I accept the ones that match the business job title that has been set as the target. A lot of times the challenge is there's so many salespeople at the trade show floor, right? So you'll always come back with sales cards, but those guys aren't your decision makers. They're not. So I reject every sales card, and I very strict on this. However, it could be an influencer. So I just show them the opportunity of talking to a salesperson and how you can get to the right person inside the organization just by asking the right questions. And from that standpoint, they're going in and asking questions to find out who is the right person, what is their phone number, because the likelihood of someone internally having that information is a lot better than, just going cold off the internet. And then from there, they're basically can help with this person has suggested another person, here's their mobile number. And so the salesperson, once they follow up on this lead, it's very easy to say, I've gotten your information from so-and-so at your company, and it's a warmer conversation. And so we just use some of these tactics to make sure that we can convert. And then from there, the girls get certified if they hit the 5 leads an hour threshold. And then they start going out in the field. In the first couple sessions, they get, a manager to basically oversee them out in the field before they go independent, to ensure we're there to support, have any questions, help guide, and address, because it could be any industry. I mean, we have BizzAngels going to Big Five, which is a construction company, like a construction industry, talking about drilling technology, and then next week we got an IT, ERP platform. That's a totally different conversation, talking to tech guys. And then with next one, we're going to beauty world, and we're talking to, actual makeup artists about an app that they should be listed on. It varies exactly who the clients are, but and they have to be versatile and just make it very simple and short, because you only have a few seconds to gather that information and allow people to do what they're there to do, which is sell their own products and services. We're just using the power of human connection to activate an introduction.
Yeah, super interesting process that you set up there. And Rachel, if we look ahead, what's next for you and for BizzAngels over the next 12 to 18 months?
Well, I'm really actively looking for the right partners to come in and really help us scale. I see this being the Uber of outsourced business development globally, where we're like an aggregator for the entire staffing market, whether it be security officers, promo staff, hostesses, or business development. This entire segment of the industry is segmented. It is completely, these staffing agencies are popping up like HR recruiters. Everyone's taking a margin, but nobody has the trust in the actual talent. And so I really want to enable this platform to be the aggregator, where we can put not only the money in a safe escrow, where we can pay people based on their results and really give them a safety net in a place like Dubai, where trust is a big deal. The amount of people I meet asking, like, I had to double check you're trustworthy. I went to Google and I felt very safe when I saw all of your content that you're out sharing around this topic. Then I felt motivated to come and meet you. And they're looking for support. People, the turnover rate of new people to this region is incredible, and so there's a couple different parts of it. I really genuinely want to help elevate people that need some support. I want to make a safe space in this work business world. I want to really find, elevate the way that the genders work together, because it's a male dominated workspace in so many of the industries. And so women do have a role, and just finding that role. I want to give the independence of the working mom so that they can really elevate and have the opportunities, so they can really see value and drive business results. And this platform is going to be the only ROI certified platform for getting these leads for businesses that will be really what every business needs, because with AI, you can't even get people on the phone anymore. So human connection is the only way to do this. And we clearly have a very successful ratio of doing that effectively. And so that scalable model to do it in all different cities around the world, where any event is happening or where any business needs to get into a new market, they can just do it on demand.
Yeah.
And trust the process.
Rachel, if our listeners and viewers want to reach out to yourself and the broader team at BizzAngels, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
Yeah, I say LinkedIn is the first spot. I always love that's the only platform for B2B to really connect. I'm reading every message that comes in. I am not a big fan of the LinkedIn Navigator, because clearly they're segmented. And so I'm not going to read someone that's paying for it to connect with me and sell me something. But my website, BizzAngels.com, is live, and that's where you can see the real angels in action. The only way they get segmented or purchased is based on language preference, because the results are always the same, right? We guarantee our results. And that's the best way to reach out to me. I mean, it's not so difficult if you got the right value proposition in mind and you make a great conversation to keep the conversation going. I'm happy to engage and explore more. But right now I'm talking to a lot of different people. I love meeting people. I love seeing, the opportunities and what's happening just in this part of the world, because it's very unique from anywhere else in the world. And expanding from here, from Middle East to Turkey to Africa to Asia, it's all happening starting in Dubai. And it's awesome to be part of that story. I just want to enable people to do it more effectively and not waste so much money burning cash with marketing costs that that have been a prevalent time waster and money burner.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the podcast today. It really has been an interesting conversation, diving into the founding of BizzAngels and the trajectory and growth to date, and talking to us a little bit about the sort of expo world, and then also naturally what's next to come. So appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that I got to share it. Really, all my gratitude. I really appreciate your time. And thank you for sharing my message and my opportunity and my business model with all of your viewers and community, because sharing is caring.
That's it for today's episode of the Aegance Offscript Podcast. If this conversation sparked something, a thought, a question, or a new way of seeing your own business, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.